Anyway, there's updates on the Somaliapolis, developing federal agents on ground probing Minnesota fraud. I wonder how much money is being spent on this, which is ironic because it's like, I suspect that the amount of funds being expended here, when there is already an active investigation into the fraud that's taking place, it's just, probably not the best use of tax funds at all, but obviously.
Kristi Noem posting video of Homeland Security investigators on the ground in Minneapolis, saying they are, quote,
It's just funny because it's like they're doing the same shit they were doing after the Brown University shooting, like kicking up snow, right? But instead of kicking up snow, they're just like kind of annoying Somali business owners, I guess. But it's dumb PR, and the morons will eat it up. They will literally be like, "Oh hell yeah, brother, that's right. I can sleep soundly at night tonight."
Conducting a massive investigation on childcare and other rampant fraud. Their investigation following a viral video that now has nearly 114 million views on X, where independent journalist Nick Shirley appears to show daycares and other businesses that received millions in state funds.
Dude, I genuinely can't believe that you can just like go to random childcare facilities, some in operation, some closed, and just yell outside of them, demanding to see all the children inside. And then if it goes viral enough on Twitter, the Department of Homeland Security will go and do a PR piece for you. God, it's so devastating because like conservatives are the only group in this country that's actually responsive to their base. And it sucks because like the only thing that the base wants is just stupid shit. Like I wish that they were this aggressive about like demanding healthcare or demanding to cut ties with Israel. You know what I mean? They just do rage bait over and over again. And the administration, of course, is like, "Oh hell yeah, we love rage bait. We will satiate your appetite for humiliating the Somali population, maybe even deport a couple." I get what you're saying, but how else would fraud like this be discovered? Isn't awareness like this a good thing? Brother, this guy didn't discover anything. There is already an active court case. Oh my God. There are literally people who think this guy unironically uncovered like some serious fraud happening. I'm losing my mind. It's so crazy because like I already reported on this before, and mainstream media has already reported on this extensively. Atriok did a video that had a thumbnail implying that. Yeah, it's because he wants to farm the algo into oblivion. And also he personally got duped by it too, it seems. You didn't get the VP? What do you mean? Sounds like you're just jealous, little bro. Bro, it's literally like harassing. It's literally like harassing. Oh my God, I saw back and forth with him, Twitter, pure comedy when you cooked him, but you can see how unserious he is when he invoked Collargate. Yeah, of course. It's like the automatic. It's like if there was a in a sea of white criminals, let's say there was like a black person that did the same exact kind of crime, okay, that white people are doing, right? By and large, overwhelming majority of child predation is happening in the hands of white men. Let's say there's one time there's like a black dude that does it. Then this YouTuber, while this like active court case is happening, starts going up to random black people and being like, "You're a pedophile, you're a pedophile, you're a pedophile. I demand you prove to me that you're not a pedophile." And then everyone goes, "See, clearly there's an active court case taking place with this one black guy that's doing has done pedophilia. I think it's pretty valid that these other black people might be doing pedophilia as well. Actually, thank God this guy is shining a light on black people doing pedophilia." That's what it's like. It's like there is a real story here. There's a real court case that took place. There's a real investigation that took place. This guy, ironically enough, didn't even bring that up for most of the video. I don't think that's true. No, there is a real active investigation that started in 2022 under the Brandonian regime, okay? This is not ain't even a straw man. This is Wicker Man. What? Ain't a straw man, it's a Wicker Man. What are you talking about? This is an analogy to try to help people understand what this guy is doing. The investigation is already ongoing. There are people who have been charged. There are people who have been convicted. Okay? This guy didn't even bring that up in his video. It's so crazy that he didn't even bring that up in the video. That's what's so crazy. Also, a real concern how Noam is there. The whole bunch of kids about to be kidnapped and deported. I mean, the overwhelming majority, if not the entirety of the Somali population is American citizens anyway. So unless ICE just straight up starts kidnapping American citizens, you know, which could happen, they're not going to really find a lot of Somali people to deport. Anyway, that's part of the reason why a lot of the Somali Americans on TikTok have been making these like, oh, Minneapolis was promised to us 3,000 years ago jokes. And the reason why they can get away with doing that is because they know they're all American citizens, right? But what they don't realize, and I said this even at the time when I first was looking at the memes, is that right-wingers are, I think, too racist to understand that these guys are joking. I think right-wingers think that like Somalis are doing like the Zionist memes sincerely. It's crazy.
With no kids inside. Correspondent Garrett Kenny.
This is not harassment. I'm going to come to your neighborhood with my camera crew and demand to film your children, okay? I'm going to figure out where your kids go to daycare. I'm going to go knock on the door of the daycare and demand to see your child. Do you consider that to be harassment, yes or no? That's freedom, baby. My God-given right.
More.
Yeah, Molly, the latest example of these fraud schemes in Minnesota are child care centers where rampant fraud has seemingly been allowed to go on for years now. Quality Learning Center is just one of the child care centers that federal investigators are now looking into. And there are plenty of red flags, starting with the sign on its building that doesn't even spell learning right. Over the past 3 years, the business has been cited for more than 120 violations for all kinds of things, including for not having proper documentation for all of the kids there.
Hasan threatens to mog local children. Yes, I will mog your children, okay? I'll walk up to them and I'll tell them that they ain't okay? I'll tell them that their tibular is up. I will give them crippling body dysmorphia at the age of 5. I don't care. I'll walk up to them and I'll say, listen, baby, you don't even mog, okay? This baby is a PSL 3 at best, okay? At best a PSL 3. Ain't nobody's playing home with this one, okay? Nobody. Take the baby's toys away. Or better yet, give the baby a toy hammer so the baby can start breaking his bones. Actually, at that age, I feel like your skull is even more malleable, right? You can just like start moving your skull around to make sure you have the Chad Alpha Dog face. You can make the baby look like handsome Squidward. Yeah, subclinical mandibular aspect ratio mog. Get mog, baby. Get the baby to start thumb pulling. A lot of babies are out here thumb sucking. They should be thumb pulling. Make sure that their jaw is not recessed. Okay? You feel me?
Despite that, from 2019 to 2024, the business received nearly $8 million in federal tax money, according to the local ABC station. Shirley also went to other child care centers across the Twin Cities where he says...
Dude, I love saying those terms, though. A suboptimal Marxilla. I don't even know if that's the correct term or not. I just love throwing that shit around. I get why the looks maxing shit is so... is so stupid, but is so captivating for many. Yeah. I'm gonna tell the baby that he has a suboptimal maxilla. He needs corrective surgery. We got to mold the baby's soft spot in his skull to make sure that he mogs.
There were similar red flags.
We're just wondering where the children are.
Who are you? We'd like to ask where the money's going. Look at that. Shut us down. Where are the children at? No children inside of this daycare center.
Dog, why would they? The craziest part about it is if any of those places unironically opened their doors to this random dickhead, that would be illegal. Are you kidding me? It is literally not legal for these places to allow random people, random adults that come in with a camera crew too. Are you out of your goddamn mind? Yeah, of course they're going to close the door in your face. That's what's so crazy about it, where it's like, I swear to God, if this guy did this to white child care facilities, even amidst like a ongoing even amidst an ongoing in a Republican neighborhood, okay, in a right neighborhood in like Alabama or whatever, and there is like an active investigation into like a church-backed, a church-backed like a child care center fraud that's taken place, and you had like a black dude walk up, okay, a liberal guy walk up to these different places and be like, show me the white babies inside, okay, and you had all these Christian people closing the door, they would have shot the dude by the third place he went to. By the time he went to the third child care center, he would have been shot in the head. It would have been a massive ordeal. It would have been a story that they would defend, the Republicans would defend for generations. Could you imagine? Black liberal from New York, possibly gay, goes down to Alabama to investigate active fraud happening in like, all the white Christian child centers. It's not even a question. They would kill the guy. Then tell people how else is the problem camera being there. I know that you didn't answer my question without getting angry. How else? I've explained it a million times over. First, you go to the Department of Human Services. Okay, there's a state website. Sad you have to create hypothetical situations to validate your delusions. To validate my delusions, there is nothing delusional about this. You are the delusional one. If you think that you can go to your local child care center with two guys in balaclavas and a camera in tow and demand to see the children there, if you think that you are not getting the door slammed in your face, you are delusional. Of course they're going to slam the door in your face. You got no credentials. You're just a random dickhead. Why the fuck would anybody open the door to you? It's illegal. I agree you can't, but no one is doing that without reason. Brother, I don't think you understand. Just because you agree with his actions doesn't mean that the random daycare facility is going to open the doors. Of course they're going to slam the door shut in your face. Would you want the adults that have a legal responsibility to guard your children at the daycare that they're working at to open their door to a ton of lawsuits by allowing random strangers with cameras or no cameras at all, but like random strangers to walk in, look at your kids, do a head count? Or what are you, nuts? The irony is, if you actually had investigated this a little bit further, if Nick had investigated it a little bit further, he would have found out that there are instances where adults are allowed to do a head count. It's the Department of Human Services. So for people who are asking, like, what could have been done here, you look up. Child care facilities are obviously rigorously examined. Okay, there's a license. There is a licensing process that gets renewed every year, and at a random time throughout the year, there is a member of the state from the Human Services Division that goes to the kindergarten without telling them ahead of time. Okay, and they obviously have the proper documentation when they're entering the place, right? And they do a head count. They look at the conditions, and they see whether or not the children are in like a stable condition, and if this daycare facility actually has like substandard conditions or decent conditions. And many of these places that he went to actually had this licensing process, and in that process, there were things that they had found, like, oh, there's like a open, kids had access to like hazardous materials like scissors and stuff, right? And then there's a proper documentation process that takes place where they say, okay, we are going to actually fix this problem. Thank you for informing us. We do not want you to revoke our license. So then they fix the problem, and then they file the documentation, and then that's either approved or not. If it's not approved, they revoke their license. And all of the places that this guy went to had, with the exception of the Learning Center, which was apparently closed, because they had a bunch of instances where they had like substandard conditions for the kids. Okay, all these places had a person from the state come in and take a look, do a head count, and see that there's children there, right? Contrary to what the argument was, that there's no kids there. So unless you think, like, there's two things that could have happened here, okay? Either these guys know ahead of time or just like magically have Are you taking the stance that there's no fraud happening? No, dude. Why is this so hard for people to understand? Of course, I'm not saying that there's no fraud happening. There is a fraud investigation taking place right now. What is wrong with you, bro? I swear to God. I mean, look, racism is a low IQ trait to begin with, okay? But you can't be this low IQ, okay? You cannot be so low IQ that you tune in to the broadcaster that speaks 2 languages, okay? When you can only speak 1 language and you can't even understand your only language that I'm speaking currently. English is my second language. It's the only language that you're supposed to know, and you still can't comprehend the words that are coming out of my mouth. Your communication is Is it? Is it though? It's my fault, you think? Because I've said it over and over again that there's an active investigation taking place into fraud, and some of that investigation even factors in childcare facilities. But that doesn't mean that every single childcare facility is actually hiding the number of children that they actually have inside of their facilities. And the way to figure out whether or not there are any kids inside of those facilities at all is not to randomly go out there like you're a kick streamer and demand to see the children. I didn't say that there's no fraud. As a matter of fact, I'm very clear that there is fraud taking place. And the way to figure out whether or not there was kids inside or anything like that is not by just going out there with a camera crew and being like, show me the kids. Show me the kids. Show me the kids right now. I need to see the kids. I'm a random adult. I need to see the kids. Oh, I'm no longer a random adult. I have my kid, Joey. He's not here with me, but I want to sign up little Joey. Yeah, who the f going to believe that? Of course they're going to be sus. You look like a pedophile. You sound like you are trying to do pedophilia, okay? If I'm putting myself in the shoes of someone that's working at that facility and that exact same situation happens, I'm either going to think this guy's a pedophile and he wants to kidnap the children, or I'm going to think he's ICE. And in either situation, I have an obligation to not open the door. What are we talking about? Have you considered the fact that the people defending filming children without their consent are the same people who are defending Trump not being in the Epstein files? Yeah, there is truth to that. Bro, it's so weird. How are people defending this? I would not want a random dude in the daycare of my kids. Like, what the f? No, dude, they want that. They want that shit, dude. That's what they want. They're like, no. The only time I can feel I can sleep soundly at night is if I know there's random nuisance streamers and content creators running up to the child care facilities that I'm leaving my child at. Yeah. What's next, bro? You want to do like a Aiden Ross collab? Neon busting the doors of every child care facility in the country? What's up, chat? Today we're going to every daycare. I'm going to go take a look at the toddlers. And I'm bringing Skybree with me. Like, what? We also have our security guys here. If someone dares question my authority, I'll beat the out of them. We're doing a baby audit. Like and subscribe. The yeah. This broadcast is sponsored by Blue Chew. Oh my God.
After Shirley's videos went viral, Governor Tim Walz's office sent us this statement saying the governor has worked for years to crack down on fraud and asked the state legislature for more authority to take aggressive action. He has strengthened oversight. Walz's office also defended his handling of the widespread fraud schemes that have been happening for years by claiming he's now taking steps to stop it from happening, including creating a statewide fraud prevention program. But federal investigators are now looking into claims that for years Walz ignored whistleblowers who tried to sound the alarm on the fraud.
This guy now is scrambling to make it look like he's doing something. 2 weeks ago, he created a position with a guy to investigate fraud. 7 years too late, Timmy. It's time that we find answers to all these questions and hold everybody accountable that has ripped off.
Dog, there is literally, first of all, says you, okay? This administration talking about fraud is sweet, okay? Is real funny. Okay, it is funny as to hear from this admin about fraud. Like, we don't know what the you guys are up to. But what's even crazier about it is that there is already, from the former administration, from the former admin, from the Brandon regime, there is already a DOJ case. I don't hate that they're eating Tim Spineless Walz. I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't really give a about Tim Walz either. Make no mistake. I already lost all confidence in him a long time ago. But if he is also, by the way, if he's also in any way, shape, or form involved with this, involved in the oversight issues, yes, he should be punished 100%. Okay? Make no mistake. I don't give a f. Having said that, there is already a investigation going on. This doesn't give you carte blanche to go in and blow up the investigation. You know what I mean? You can't just like do that. Okay? And you certainly can't do that to like other random similar childcare facilities just because you felt like it. What are we doing? What are we doing? How do I put this in an analogy that like Republicans can understand? What do Republicans care about in terms of like innocent until proven guilty? Like imagine if liberals were running around and saying that like every man is a rapist or something. You know what I mean? Every man's a rapist. Remember there was wasn't there like a fake allegation with like a college campus lacrosse team or something? Wasn't there something like that? And then Republicans lost their minds over that. You know what I mean? Yeah. Was it Duke? One of the schools. There was like a fake false rape allegation and the entire team was under investigation. Like liberals running around and being like, oh yeah, every lacrosse playing white boy is a rapist. If they just did that, put a camera on it, and then the entirety of the liberal media ecosystem was like, hell yeah, put these rapists under the buildings, put these rapists under the prison. Yeah. Did you feel like that was a good feeling? Was that a good feeling when that was happening? Did you feel like that was justice being served? No, right? Didn't feel great. For the Republicans who don't, understand what's going on, it's kind of like this, okay? Yeah, going up to like random lacrosse teams, white boys playing lacrosse, and be like, I demand you show me all the rapists in your team. Why are you hiding? Why are you sheltering the rapists? I would like to see all the rapists here. All of the white boys in this lacrosse team are rapists. If you were like running around saying that shit, that's what it would be like. If they weren't raping, why are they all wearing lacrosse equipment? It's ridiculous. What is this? Dude, I love you, but your rage against those chowders is just barely to get through. And believe me, I try really hard, but if you look at my peers, you're losing European viewers answering those rage bait incels or bots. Please, you need more Euro viewers. It's so hard to watch, bro. Please. Wait, what? I need more European viewers, and I'm losing my European audience? Why? Because they believe the narratives? Is that what it is? Jessica Tarkov making your argument.
We'll say lastly, that fraud should be stamped out everywhere. You should take it seriously. And I'm particularly upset, and I've said this now the third time, that people took COVID money, abused that while folks were dying, while kids weren't allowed to go to school. The country was completely in uproar, rightly so, people scared out of their minds.
They're saying American chatters are stupid. I mean, they're not wrong, but have you seen some of the European chatters? European chatters are, I mean, the ones that haven't already like all went to Asmongold, they love. European chatters love LARPing like they're MAGA Americans, dude. It's one of the craziest things I've ever seen in my life. EU is like a no-go zone right now.
But Donald Trump and his administration has not taken fraud seriously.
There's actually a lot of European viewers who believe this law, but that's not your fault. Yeah, I don't know what to do about that. Especially, you want to know why there's a lot of Euro chatters who believe this law? Because this is Euro-style racism, right? European chatters don't understand like the anti-black dynamic that is the American version of racism, because they of course still have like, white supremacist tendencies and whatnot. Like the European races, they obviously also have white supremacist tendencies, but it's like more national. It's different. It's different than like American racism. That's why Europeans will always say like, why are the Americans so obsessed with race? Yeah, I don't understand. They should be hating the gypsies instead. I don't understand it. The Roma people. They wouldn't say that, but Yeah, why don't they hate the Muslims? It doesn't make sense. But this is like Euro-style Islamophobia. So this is way more propaganda for the Euro-style right-wingers, So that's the reason why they're probably looking at this and being like, oh, dude, you're right. This is exactly the same kind of that's happening out here. Hasan is the biggest piece of shit liberal one can find. I mean, if you think I'm a liberal, then you're already lost in the sauce, big dog. And for the record, before Europeans get sensitive about it, I'm not talking about all Europeans. I'm talking about the hogs. You know how they get, okay?
You have Philip S. Form, who was the healthcare executive, speaking of healthcare, which is part of this, a nursing home mogul, I didn't even know you could be one, orchestrated the largest healthcare fraud scheme in U.S. history, $1.3 billion, commuted by Trump. David Gentile, the private equity guy, $1.6 billion, he defrauded people. Trump commuted his sentence. And then an oldie but a goodie, obviously Trump University, which had to pay $25 million settlement because it was a scam. Do not go out there and say this is all a liberal problem if you don't want to look under the hood of your own car. We'll say, lastly, that fraud should be stamped out everywhere. You should.
Lol, I know I try to get the peeps here to watch you because some are not very well educated to say in a nice way. No, I know.
Take it seriously.
My queen, she's right, and she should say it. It's so funny because like the entirety of the right wing yelled at me over what I said about Rick Scott, and it wasn't even like a death threat. It was very obvious, like that I was saying if Republicans cared about Medicare fraud, they would punish Rick Scott, right? And now they're literally like, well, fraud has happened, and you know some Somali people were involved, so we should literally deport every Somali person. Turns out they didn't give a about. Europeans have no reason to care about Nick Shirley. However, wait, what? No. You just also focus on American news if you focus on 90 Day, which isn't... Okay, shut up. I've yet to find a single person, with the exception of the actual defendants who tried to you know, obviously thwart the investigation that was taking place. I've yet to see a single liberal or anybody for that matter be like, yeah, actually, it's racism if you don't let Somali Americans do fraud. You know, who the would say that? The only time you hear that is from dumb Republicans who claim the liberals are saying that. I've yet to hear a liberal say that. I've yet to hear anyone on the left say that. At most, you'll hear like a joke here or there from like you know, the Somali Americans that are doing like the, well, this money was promised to us 3,000 years ago. You know what I mean?
Off Minnesota taxpayers.
Over the weekend, FBI Director Kash Patel reiterated that this is very much an ongoing investigation and that the Bureau believes the fraud that we've seen so far is just the tip of a very large iceberg. Molly?
Thank you very much, Garrett. Well, this has been an amazing story that has really been covered for a couple years, but has started exploding more in recent weeks as we saw that some of the funding that had, some of the taxpayer funding that had gone to these groups was actually being funneled to al-Shabaab in foreign countries, terrorist groups, and also this video that went viral this weekend showing that all of these places that had been getting taxpayer funds that claiming to be daycares didn't have any children inside of them. Griff, I'm wondering, is this your path to financial freedom, starting a daycare center in Minnesota?
Well, gosh, Molly, I'm certainly not going to do that because it's illegal, but boy, wouldn't it be easy. And, you know, it's interesting in Garrett's a report there, he was talking about Governor Walz as saying that he's pushing back, saying that he's for years tried to fight against fraud. Well, really? Is that the case? Because when you trace back how this all started, going back to Ilhan Omar's 2020 Meals Act to just get money out the door to school children who might miss lunches and all these other things, you see that it was a industrial scale fraud opportunity. And in this case, you know, the fact that Nick Shirley went out with a camera, I think is brilliant because there has been very little reporting from other networks on this story. And you're starting to see now, obviously, from FBI Director Kash Patel says that it's, you know, a tip of an iceberg. Well, where are they? It reminds me, Molly, of when Bill Maloosia and I went down to the border years ago, started standing there with thousands coming across, and no other network had any interest in it. Well, now you're starting to see it. And
it's just not true. It's just not true. Every major outlet conducted investigations, and every major outlet reported on the ongoing investigations. There's never a story of this level of significance that mainstream media is going to not cover, okay? It's ridiculous. Love that he's implying Fox News was in on this fraud too then. Yeah, of course they can get away with it because they're Fox News.
Convictions. And then originally, the only discussion you saw on other networks were people that were basically blasting it as, you know, racist or...
Someone on Twitter showed that the Quality Learning Center had opening hours at 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. and Nick showed up at 1 p.m. Yeah, but also I'm pretty sure the Quality Learning Center was closed at the time anyway. At least according to the to the Minneapolis Human Services Department, because this is what the Minneapolis Human Services Department said. Where is it? I retweeted it. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. Are they not on winter break? No. Not at the time when they were covering it. Where is it? Where the fuck is the retweet that I retweeted? Did they delete it? Oh, here it is. Dina Winner from Minneapolis City Hall. Not that anyone will give a shit about this, but breaking. Tiki Brown, commissioner of the Minnesota Department of Children, Youth and Family, said none of the 10 child care centers that YouTuber Nick Shirley recently visited for his viral video have had their payments paused, although a couple were previously closed down by the state, and state workers are doing visits to the rest today. The now infamous Quality Learning Center closed just over a week ago, and the first one of the long video, Mako Child Care, closed several years ago, she said. Viral video prompts new scrutiny of alleged fraud, draws quick reaction from Minnesota regulators. The claims of a right-wing influencer are prompting questions about whether fraud has proliferated in a program that was flagged for deficiencies a decade ago. A video that surfaced on YouTube this past weekend contained explosive allegations about Minnesota's child care assistance program, raising new concerns about fraud and triggering a quick reaction from state regulators. In the 43-minute video, which went viral on social media, has more than 1.4 million YouTube views since it debuted Friday. Right-wing influencer Nick Shirley alleges that the group of daycare centers operated by Somali residents in Minneapolis have misappropriated upwards of $100 million. In 2024, the program, which provides financial assistance to help low-income families pay for childcare so parents can work, cost $306 million. Despite registering concerns about the accuracy of the report, state regulators responded by sending inspectors to each of the centers featured in the video to see if there were licensing issues or other problems. Tiki Brown, commissioner of Minnesota Department of Children, Youth, Families, said at a December 29th afternoon news conference that two of the Minneapolis centers closed this year, including Quality Learning Center in Minneapolis just last week. Quality featured prominently in the video. While we have questions about some of the methods that were used in the video, we do take concerns of the video about fraud very seriously. The video has amplified national scrutiny on Minnesota over Medicaid fraud, which federal investigators have say swamped the state programs, while also raising concerns that the fraud has continued to proliferate in a program flagged for issues 10 years ago. Shirley's video prompted a response from Vice President J.D. Vance and FBI Director Kash Patel over the weekend. The video shows Shirley, a man identified as David, as they visit 10 daycare centers that allegedly receive public funding to see whether the businesses are actually taking care of children. In most cases, Shirley and his partner are either unable to get anybody to answer the door or are refused entry. A few employees or clients of the centers challenged their claims, but it's not clear if any of those individuals were the facility owners. Brown said it's hard to draw solid conclusions from the video because it's not clear whether Shirley visited the daycare centers during the week, when they would likely be full of children, or on a weekend or holiday, when they would likely be empty. The only additional fucking person that could offer quote-unquote evidence here was a random neighbor who turned around and claimed that he had not seen any children there. Oh, okay, if you say so. You know, this is fantastic. This is fantastic reporting. Thank you. We don't even fucking know if he's a real neighbor at all. Brown said each of these centers has been visited in the past 6 months, but none of the announced visits turned up evidence of fraud. She said the department has not yet found problems that warrant pausing payments to any of the centers. Brown declined to provide information about the recent closings of Quality Learning Center on Nicollet Avenue or Mako Child Care on the 25th Avenue S. We generally don't disclose information if we have a current open investigation, she said. Shirley's video provoked a fast response from Minnesota Republicans, including several candidates who are running for governor. Yeah, David Zimmer is the guy, by the way, and he is of course, policy fellow at the Center of the American Experiment, where he writes about criminal justice and public safety. Mr. Zimmer served 33 years in local law enforcement with the Hennepin County Sheriff's Office, retiring as captain. During his law enforcement career, Mr. Zimmer served as a deputy and supervisor in areas including the jail, courts, patrol, water patrol investigations, and tactical command. Mr. Zimmer was recognized as a collaborative law enforcement leader who earned the respect of stakeholders throughout the criminal justice system. He advocates for public policy that will ensure a consequential criminal justice system for all Minnesotans. Yes, of course, he's a fucking right-wing speaker now. If you were wondering, former law enforcement officer and now current right-wing speaker guy for the American Experiment. To tell you the truth, I'm shocked. Also, once again, even local news is not doing a good enough job in covering this stuff, because they could have just not kept it at David in air quotes, but simply said David Zimmer is a right-wing operative working with the American Experiment, a right-wing think tank. You know, Is this kind of video taking over the college debate rage-based stuff? The guy and the likes pulling ahead of those young men trying to take Charlie's spot? A little bit. This kind of video already existed. So I think that there will be a space for the right-wing debate lords still. And then there will be this kind of agitprop too. Tyler Oliveira. They already had this. Anyway, a spokesman, and then, the Walz administration has had years to address these issues, but has frequently ignored or downplayed the issues at every turn. A spokesman for Walz said he has worked for years to crack down on fraud and asked the state legislature for more authority to take aggressive action. He has strengthened oversight, including launching investigations into these specific facilities, one of which was already closed, spokeswoman Claire Lancaster said in a statement to the Minnesota Star Tribune, adding that he shut down a high-risk program and hired an outside auditor and a new statewide program integrity director. House GOP leader Harry Niska said it's hard for Republicans to trust the Walz administration because, they're politicians, obviously. Niska said the Minnesota House Republican Caucus provided information about the fraud to the man named David who appeared in Shirley's video. Shirley's YouTube channel has amassed more than 1 million followers. He's one of the several influencers invited to the White House in October to participate in an Antifa roundtable, a discussion about left-wing groups and the anti-fascist movement with President Trump. He previously faced criticism for a video he filmed in Kyiv, Ukraine, where he falsely implied that American tax dollars were used to buy luxury cars and install a Ferris wheel in the city. Oh, I forgot to mention this. Yeah, he's done an Israel video. And not only that, but he got owned by a Ukrainian guy. A Ukrainian guy actually debated him after this video came out.
Hey, Slava Ukraini.
POV, you're in Ukraine and you realize where your taxes are going. Yeah, the Ferris wheel installed this location since 2017 after being moved from France. This has nothing to do with the American taxpayers. But yeah, he also did a Israel propaganda too. He did a Israel version of this as well. But here is a Ukrainian dude cooking this guy's ass. Probably the type of dude who hates me too. Let's be real. Who thinks I'm also a op. Yeah, he did a CCOP propaganda tour. He did a pro-Israel video.
Tweets I put out, there's a lot of context as well.
Oh, so that's backtracking because you had a massive amount of backlash from Ukrainians, rightfully. But why didn't you put that in the original tweet?
Because that wasn't the idea of the original tweet.
Do you understand why people in this country are pretty pissed off with you?
One post does not define everything I did while I was in Ukraine.
Well, I think what you were doing is to try and show that there maybe isn't a war in Ukraine. You were basically trying to ride this sort of Tim Pool grifter type wave, saying, pulling silly faces, smirking at the people of this country, saying, this is where your tax dollars are going. You cannot avoid that. That is literally what you did. Everybody agrees. Everybody in the comments agrees. That's what you were doing.
Wait, I don't get it. I thought this guy was apolitical though. Why is he why did this guy go from being a random Mormon guy to just like doing videos about how Ukraine sucks, is the greatest enemy of mankind, doing pro-Israel videos as well? When you see a guy like this do anti-Ukraine videos and then pro-Israel videos, then you realize like this is a domestic op, okay? Because like depending on the allegiances here, okay, when you got pro-Russia and pro-Israel, I don't know who the is funding this guy, but it's very clearly touching on a lot of the things. Like it's Tim Pool, okay? This is a Tim Pool moment.
Why can't you admit that?
Because I do not believe by making satire on the internet commits a crime by any means. And
Okay, so
going back.
this is a huge revelation. So you were actually doing satire.
Wait, he was at January 6th too?
So it was satire.
Is there anything wrong with satire?
I know exactly what you were trying to do. You failed in doing it because you've received more backlash and more hate than support, and I guess now you're backpedaling.
I wouldn't say that.
What would you say then? Where did you go in East Ukraine?
I went to...
Bro, what is coming up? This is 1 minute and 32 seconds at this point. This man is this is still coming up? What's up with the interview? Yeah, the guy's name is Cowlin Robertson. Yeah, he's a journalist based in Ukraine now. He does like he perma lives in Ukraine. I'm willing to bet this guy does not like me at all. Usually these guys don't like me at all. But
isn't Bucha East Ukraine? Or I went somewhere where there was Bucha.
So Bucha is a 20.
Bro, come on. You went to Ukraine. You don't even know Bucha. You're like, oh, dude, what is it called? Bucha? I don't know.
I went to, isn't Bucha East Ukraine? Or I went somewhere where there was Bucha.
So
Yeah,
Bucha is a 20-minute
Pavlov.
drive north of Kyiv. Where did you go in East Ukraine?
That's where I went. I went to Bucha. Is that not east?
Hasan Piker, Iran is very pro-trans. The Iranian regime forces gay people to medically transition as the only way to escape the death penalty for homosexuality. Yeah, that was the joke I was making. If you watch the video, I'm literally saying that Iran is maybe too pro-trans to a fault. That's what I was implying. Anyway, but of course, my ideological opposition is incapable of making a joke. Hasan is a moron, says Kalen reports. Yeah, Iran is the true transgender for everybody nation.
God, it makes me despair that you've come here, you don't even know the difference between East Ukraine and somewhere that's a 20-minute drive north of Kyiv, and you've put out content that's genuinely extremely damaging. Nick Shirley came here to Ukraine and produced one of the most egregious pieces of propaganda I've seen since the start of this war. His video undermining the war and showing that apparent taxpayers' money is being wasted on luxury cars here has amassed millions of views, hundreds of thousands of comments, and it's been shared by some of the Kremlin's biggest mouthpieces. So I have an exclusive interview with Nick to find out exactly why he did this. Well, let me know when you're good.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so I spoke to your fixers and they said that they took you to Bucha.
No, they are not. Did you not hear him just say he made satire? That sounds like a joke to me. Owned. Yeah, there's a difference between like heavily implying. The joke that I'm making is that the Iranian forcible transification methods that criminalizes homosexuality is bad. Okay? That's why I'm saying, oh, they're a little too woke. He's not saying that. He's just straight up saying that he's implying that Ukraine is just like stealing the tax dollars and buying a Ferris wheel with it instead of like weapons.
Where there are mass graves. They said that they took you to a hospital that was bombed. Having seen all of that, why is it that you decided for your first report to be about the luxury of Kyiv and Americans' tax dollars being wasted?
Yeah, it's a good question. Quite frankly, I'm still putting together the documentary I had. That was a clip I filmed just walking around while I was in Kyiv. And I do believe that here in the United States, there's a lot of misconceptions as far as where tax dollars are being sent. And we have the right to understand where things are going. And that by posting a video like that doesn't make me a pro-Russian by any means. By every mean, I'm very pro-Ukrainian.
Well, you're saying there's a lot of misconceptions about where the American tax dollars are going. Do you think you're adding to those misconceptions by showing a few luxury cars in the...
I think he's slow. Yeah, he is. He is unironically slow. He's so slow that like when I first watched one of his videos where he was like trying to interview college students to like dunk on them, I felt bad making fun of him because I was like, I feel like I'm being, ableist. Like I'm actually making fun of someone with like a significant like intellectual disability. But I guess that's not really it's not really going to stop someone from cutting propaganda for the current hogs, because the current hogs are really dumb. Yes, I also did cover that he collaborated with the Israeli state. Nick Shirley, who's being promoted by Elon Musk, JD Vance, and the entire conservative media sphere, is a fanatical Zionist Israel firster. He literally went to Israel to do propaganda tour just a few months back. All the Zionists are doing, oh my God, Somalis, oh my God, Muslims for Israel. I visited the Israel-Gaza border with the last mayor of Gaza full doc, where he stood where Hamas launched his attacks. He saw the destruction, the aftermath of October 7th, and the mayor breaks down the money trail to expose who props in the war and who's funding the war. The documentary breaks down how Hamas operates and funds itself, the brutal history of Israel and Gaza, what life was like before and after Hamas took over in Gaza, why Israel responded the way that it did. This cunt has also been obsessively doing the Zionism, oh my God, Muslim takeover of America, oh my God, propaganda. He's literally a paid Israel first cuck whose job it is to produce slop, appealing to the base urges of the right-wingers to make them forget about being slaves of Israel. Matt Walsh, Hey, Nick Shirley, I have some questions for you. Do you believe Tucker Carlson is an anti-Semite? Do you believe Nick Fuentes and the Groypers are anti-Semites? Do you believe Ben Shapiro is an epic-based hero who was right about them? How much did the Israeli pedo rape colony pay you to travel there to do propaganda video for them? Did the Mossad procure children for you at your hotel? And if so, what did you do with that? Okay, this is Squirrel goes a little, beyond, above and beyond here. But here is Nick Shirley with the paid Israel First propagandist cuck laundering the Israeli bombing of Iran when it was happening. They actually got him to do propaganda hits to ensure conservatives would rally behind the new war for Israel against Iran.
Iran and Israel are at it.
Yeah.
Israel launched some missiles at Iran, took out some of their leaders, and then
Yeah, it's the writing is fire, except jokes on Squirrel. Nick Shirley can't read. He is illiterate.
Iran just launched and landed in Tel Aviv. Where does this war go?
The effort, obviously, by Israel was to disable the nuclear program of Iran. Iran, who is the #1 funder of terrorism throughout the world, Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, all of them being funded by Iran. In this proxy war where Iran is spending...
Did this guy come out of nowhere? No, he's been making waves. Apparently he was at January 6th. I didn't even know that, by the way. That's news to me. But he has been making waves slowly but surely. He was trying to do do you guys want to vote for Trump? Why do you want to not vote for Trump? Shit like Yale. That type of stuff.
Baby, let's go. Yes, sir.
We're here, king of the Instagram of Donald Trump, patriotism. What do you guys say?
We're gonna pull this thing through, stay strong, stay faithful, keep fighting. America's on the line.
America's on the line.
That's right. Land first.
Tomorrow, right here, Donald Trump is going to be talking to millions of people. And I'm going to try to sneak all the way up to the front. I'm going to try to sneak all the way up into like one of these seats up here. I'm going to try to get as close as I possibly can. Tomorrow, Donald Trump is going to be...
Yeah, he was also brought up in an Antifa roundtable meeting earlier this year with Trump and other government officials, including Secretary of Homeland Security Kirsten Noem and Attorney General Pam Bondi, where he talked about the real threat to America being Antifa. So, do I think this guy is like a federal agent? Not really. But then again, I do think that the government is, they're so bad nowadays that maybe they're outsourcing to Mormons again, but this time to the dumbest of Mormons, because he's not the best and brightest of the Mormons. Let's be real. Okay. But I do think that the administration is open about like outsourcing their propaganda directly to YouTubers. That's why they keep bringing him in. If he's an agent, he's faking being stupid. If he's an asset, he's not. Yeah, I don't think he's faking it. Show me the smart ones. The smart ones you will never know of because they already worked for the FBI. I've been a day one hater of this Mormon guy. His mom chaperones him around everywhere. I followed him when he had 20K subs and was pivoting out of Mr. Beast style content. His mom is friends with some MAGA guys in the media, and that's how we got this pivot. Yeah, it's the thing is like this guy, just like Tyler Hitler Vera. And this one is like a much more recent channel than Tyler Hitler Vera. If you go back old enough, like you'll realize that they were doing, like he was doing 6 years ago, 100 pounds of dry ice versus truck, painful. Okay. Interviewing people at the Freak Convention, very dark people, running the world's hardest race, hanging out with Hey Big Mike, delivering Bud Light to Post Malone, went to his house, acting blind in public prank. Okay. Sneaking into exclusive Hollywood party, fail. And then somewhere along the line, he does like a right-wing video, okay? He does like one right-wing video, going away for 2 years, I quit, yeah. And then he comes back, he goes on a mission, he comes back from his Mormon mission. I interviewed illegal immigrants at the U.S. border, 248,000 views. We are under attack. Americans are angry. This is why. I tracked down illegal immigrants in New York City. I tracked down illegal immigrants from the U.S. border. I investigated the Texas border crisis with an ex-cartel member. I discovered a hidden migrant camp in America. Illegal immigrants are living for free in this city. I investigated the New York City migrant crisis. I caught illegal immigrants crossing the U.S. border. I investigated the California migrant crisis. How this country solved illegal immigration in El Salvador. I live with migrants in New York City for 24 hours, asking New Yorkers who are they voting for in 2024. That was the video that I actually watched this one. Asking Harvard students who they're voting for in 2024. Bro, this is the same exact shit that Tyler Oliveira did. You even covered his video on stream earlier? Yeah, I did. I covered this one too. Yeah, LA protesters believes U.S. belongs to Mexico. This was our city and this was Mexico. People need to archive this shit ASAP. This is getting deleted soon. No. These guys are shameless. No one will actually dive into this. Are you kidding me? No one gives a shit. Everyone only cares about whether or not this person is like pushing propaganda in the way that they like that comforts them and the way that they believe the world operates. That's all it is. Like Tyler Oliveira had a similar pivot and now has 9 million subscribers, right? If you look at, and I don't know if Tyler actually deleted his older videos, but yeah, no, he didn't. I'm the boss's son prank, college decision reactions, deny from every college, attempting to have fun, how PewDiePie's channel made a comeback. He does like Mr. Beast videos, okay? He does like Mr. Beast style videos, challenges, pranks. Then he tries to do like even the YouTube commentary stuff, right? The slop tuber commentary. And then somewhere along the way, let's see if we can find the pivot, okay? Because he did a lot more videos and he had a more successful channel than Nick Shirley did. Nick Shirley just immediately dove into the MAGA shit, okay? But yeah, I trained like Arnold for 30 days, all this stuff. I mean, some of them are doing really well. Grandpa Slam Dunks on Trash Talking Hoopers, Ankles Broken, 14 million views, all this shit, right? And then let's see if you can notice the pivot, okay? Attack on Titan in real life, all this stuff. And then let's see if you can see the pivot. I dug out from underground prison, magnet fishing, used a toothpick to mine a real diamond, flew the Millennium Falcon. Brett Riviera called the cops on me. I investigated Ohio's toxic wasteland. I went to the incest capital of America. I investigated UFO crash sites. Boom! I investigated the city of real life zombies. 23 million views. And then from that point on, I investigated the most obese city in America. I investigated Hitler's death. I snuck on the Jeffrey Epstein's island. That was one of the first videos I watched of his. I investigated the U.S.-Mexico border. I investigated America's vaping epidemic. So like every now and then he does like another, somewhat apolitical one, but it's just hog slop from that point on. Most racist man in America. Investigated a city that made being gay illegal. I investigated a city where only criminals live. I investigated a city that traps homeless people forever. I investigated the city where old people are sent to die. Underground city of mole people, blah, 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 all this shit. And slowly but surely, he's just like full tilt pivoting to I visited a country where every drug is legal. It's just look at these poor people. The Jew capital versus the Muslim capital of America. It's look at all these poor people. Look at all these black people. Look at how violent they are. Look at all these drug addled criminals everywhere. I went to the worst ghetto in America, and then he goes to Oakland. Yeah, I investigated a city where you can legally steal houses. Inside Pennsylvania's immigrant invasion, inside the country that kills illegal immigrants. Do you see? Am I too conspiracy pilled or independent creators a way for mega rich to get around typical campaign laws, FCC regulations, etc.? I think this is partially because of the algorithm, okay? I think the algorithm boosts this kind of content. People love this shit, okay? A lot of these people are Europeans who view this. It's sad. Yeah, 100%. There are hogs all around the world, and certainly in Europe as well. The algorithm greatly boosts right-wing slop, okay? It greatly boosts right-wing slop. The difference between Tyler and Nick is that, I can't believe this, but at least Tyler Oliveira puts a little bit more effort into his videos, right? Whereas Nick just kind of goes out there and is like, blah, blah. But the thing is, that blah, blah, style content works even better. So that's what it is. I feel like this is a manufactured pipeline for children, even if it's unintentional. I don't know. I exposed scammers in Barcelona attacked. Yeah, I remember this because this went viral on Twitter, but against them, where a lot of the Spanish people in Barcelona were saying you were harassing the people. They're actually pretty kind. They're like immigrants, and they don't actually give you shit. The reason why they were like attacking you is because you were harassing them. Anyway, but this is a real meta. It's a real pipeline. People do this shit, and they masquerade as apolitical while they're doing this shit. It's like, bro, you went to January 6th. You know
where to go.
Like, these guys are very clearly right-wing operatives, and they will lean into whatever the right-wing meta is at the time. But the problem is they can masquerade as like investigative journalists, right? And a lot of people eat that slop up. It's shameless pandering. It's incredibly biased. And also, worst of all, from my perspective, it offers zero new insight. it does not bring in any evidence to the conversation at all. What about Andrew Callahan? Andrew Callahan, in spite of his, significant shortcomings in his past, at least ideologically, has maintained a consistent perspective throughout. This is not a defense of his actions, but if you look at his output, if you look at his videos and whatnot, if you look at his actual videos, his output still is very much the opposite of these guys. If H3 didn't have an existential crisis, he could be swimming in great content generation right now via critique. Instead, they're pigeonholed into a weird centrist, anti-progressive, anti-political stance, i.e. neutered from commenting on slop. Instead is slop. Yes. The problem is a lot of the centrist accounts, right? Like the slop tubers and the centrists in the past would probably, every now and then take a couple dings at guys like this, Patrick, like the commentary YouTubers that go beyond slop, like the beyond drama, like Patrick CC, right? Like every now and then, Moist Critical, maybe, would every now and then make a video about something that these guys are doing. The problem is no one does that anymore. Do you have any accountability? Yes, I do. I have an accountability to the truth. I have an accountability to my audience. And not only that, but everybody bastardizes the term accountability by consistently claiming that I am being held accountable. Now, it's the TikTokers that do the counter slop. Yes, but the TikTokers, unfortunately, are dropping the ball because they don't have consistent, long-standing audiences in the same way because the format is different. It's too fast-paced. They're far too invested in like minutia and like little, they browbeat all these like pedantic arguments to death, and they constantly are fighting amongst themselves. They're constantly yelling about like people like myself. So TikTokers, unfortunately, are way too predisposed to clip culture and shit, and they don't have enough of an interest in like sitting down and making a long and comprehensive YouTube essay about this kind of stuff. Kurt Kaz became full right-wing weirdo also. Who's Kurt Kaz? I don't know who that is. But basically, and I've been saying this over and over again, basically, the more like the hobbyist YouTubers in different sectors become right-wing and lean into right-wing shit, the more the algorithm is polluted with right-wing commentary, okay? And it sucks. It sucks, but that's how the right-wing gains a massive foothold. And there is very little interest from a lot of people that might even align politically with people like myself. There's very little interest from them in terms of like combating this shit, right? There is no interest from them in combating this shit at all because they want to maintain their large audiences. They don't want to offend. There are certain appropriate targets, right? There are certain appropriate targets. I clearly am one of them, right? I'm an easy target because I'm on the left. Other leftists also despise me, as is the case with every leftist. And then liberals obviously hate me because I consistently call out liberals. And Republicans despise me because, I oppose everything they believe and everything that they stand for. So in that situation, I'm an appropriate target. And it's not just me. Every other leftist content creator that reaches a certain level of prominence will always get the exact same mountain of hate, right? That's just how it is. That's just how it is. And there are different vectors of farming hate. For the liberals, you can say Hasan actually wanted Trump to win. He's a rich guy. Hasan is actually racist. He's a white man. Hasan is actually sexist. He's a white man. He's heterosexual. And then for the right-wingers, Hasan is Muslim. Hasan is an America hater. Hasan, loves 9/11 and wants to do 9/11. For the centrists, they do a bit of both, right? Depending on whichever way the wind is blowing. They do the Hasan is both sexist and also a Islamist terrorist, all this shit. And for the left content creators in this media landscape, other left content creators, it's always a knife fight. And there are ideological delineations and minor differences in opinion or misunderstandings that they lean into. And no matter what happens, like once someone reaches a certain level of prominence as a left content creator, you will constantly get ass clapped by everybody. And you will constantly have to like deal with drama that's happening, right? Now, I choose not to do that for the most part, but I recognize that that has created this media environment where, because I am seen as an appropriate target by a lot of, because I'm seen as an appropriate target, an appropriate vector of hate, where you can just like farm my haters, you know, there aren't many people that will come to my defense openly, because if they do, then they'll get attacked too. They just keep farming that over and over again. And meanwhile, there are alternatives that prop up because they don't get any scrutiny whatsoever in the process. And, you know, the alternatives are like Asmongold or Nick Fuentes even, and like more dangerous versions of this. And guys like Nick Shirley or Tyler Oliveira actually play in the front lines, even though they are like objectively, openly far right with the commentary, with the propaganda that they're putting out there. All these supposed centrist YouTubers will shy away from attacking them. And the reason why they shy away from criticizing them and criticizing their commentary is because they are terrified of invoking the anger of other people who think that these guys are actually doing real, responsible, serious journalism. As Mongler's editor montaged a video of Together Review saying his name a bunch of times over and over, try to make you seem obsessed. Maybe your editors could do the same as well. It doesn't matter. My video will get 10,000 views. His video will get 10 million views. My video doing that will get 10,000 views, even though if you look at every metric, Asmongold has covered me 100 times more than I have covered him on any of my YouTube channels. I own 2 YouTube channels, and if you look at like the actual times that Asmongold has, you know, covered me and posted me on his clip channel, covered me and posted me on his regular YouTube channel, you will see that for every like 4 videos that he covers of me, I sometimes will cover him. But it doesn't matter. No one actually cares about the truth. It goes back to the same thing that I was talking about. Look, he's doing it again. Bro is talking again about Asmongold. Ha ha ha. Do you see what I mean? The reason why I brought it up is because someone brought it up in the chat saying that his YouTube editor actually talked about you, or actually cut a YouTube video of you talking about him. If you're an actual Asmongold fan, you already know he talks about me all the time. His fans actually talk about me all the time in his chat. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to you at all, because you like when he does that. You don't like when I talk about him. So you have to turn around and say, oh, you know, you're obsessed. I mean, 99% of the time, it's you covering his coverage of you, lol. Exactly. Anyway, my point wasn't even about Asmongold in general. My point was that there are a lot of centrist and quote unquote liberal content creators. There are a lot of centrist and liberal content creators who have consistently attacked me as a valid, appropriate target, worthy of all the scrutiny. And if you were to only get your information from guys like that, you never actually hear about Asmongold in a negative fashion at all. You only hear about Asmongold when he's in your algorithm. You get to watch his videos initially. If you had not encountered me in a negative framing, you would probably just see some of my videos on your algorithm. You would make up your own mind. Maybe you would like it. Maybe you wouldn't like it, right? But when you actually see me presented over and over again in a negative fashion, before you ever actually encounter my views without any sort of negative framing, you already develop your mind. You think, oh, this guy's awful. This guy's a bad guy. And in that process, as I kept repeating over and over again, I am no longer just one individual that's being like attacked. Now the entire ideology in the eyes of a lot of people are being attacked because they treat me as a vector for left ideology. Okay? All clips frame you as angry and whiny? Yeah, of course.